Well, this movie kicks so much ass. Next to The Gray, I really think this is Joe Carnahan's best film.
So why were you looking to get locked up, Theodore?
Everyone's trying to kill me. They nearly killed us.
What'd you do?
I did what I had to do to get to you, Teddy.
Mr. Carnahan has always had a unique language as a storyteller, both visually and textually, and I can't tell you how many times, or how many analogies and metaphors I use in my everyday talk just because of him, and you guys get a whole caseload of them. I can't tell you how much I laughed when, what was that line? Hard chargers get charged hard. How do you go about casualizing Mr. Carnahan's language? And do you feel that since doing this film, your own language has been elevated?
No, I feel since working with them, I've had to de-elevate my language. I'm joking. Yeah, it's a trip. There's a tone and a rhythm of that kind of writing, like the same with Guy Ritchie, I guess, or Tarantino. You know, that you kind of have to quickly establish and make real and not like because even though they're very smart, they're also a writer's lines. Mm-hmm. So you have to make them your own. Mm-hmm. And make them real, but with bite, you know. But the hard charges line, that originally was written just as that line. And then it became this, and then me trying to explain it, you know, that just kind of happened more in the moment, you know. Well,
yeah.
What it means is, you know,
right.
And then like, are you kidding me? Like, which is what's beautiful about this movie is there's so many of those moments that are just bizarre or surreal or next to the craziness are very normal, real moments, which I think just adds to the kind of rich tapestry of everything else going on in the movie.
Yeah, there were a pretty good amount of jokes when I first read this, but I was like, okay, Joe, what does this mean? He had to explain to me, and I was like, oh, that's funny. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or sometimes you have to say to him, that's funny, but only 2% of the audience will get it. So
right.
Miss Louder, I just loved your character so much. I love how calm and collected she is. You get this great moment of having the upper hand, and you do this kind of head roll thing of like, I don't know, expressing confidence. That was so great. We get all these like subtle glimpses into Val and where she may come from. I know there's dialogue scenes that inform this as well, but I just love those subtle moments of like what you do to, you know, with the body language. When fleshing out your character, how much did you come up with to create this mental space for her that we may not necessarily hear in spoken dialogue, but we can feel?
Yeah, a lot of her is physical because when you are someone with confidence, you don't always have to speak in any particular instance. And so I love that you brought that up because Valerie she's very confident in what she does, but she's willing to listen. So she's willing to learn, so she's a good listener. Mm-hmm. And in her listening, you'll see some of her characteristics, like you know. And so yeah, whenever I'm developing a character, I'm developing their physicality as well.
Yeah. And Gerard, Ms. Butler, you've been producing for well over 10 years now. What all does that entail for you? Does that added responsibility complicate the focus of your character as an actor, or does having the whole picture in mind allow you to unlock more creativity?
Well, actually, you just answered my question because it is both. When you're developing a script, you're working on every line, every moment, every idea. So by the time you go to start, you're so steeped in it and understand it so well. But at the same time, you're also dealing with issues. Like I'm making a movie now, and you're dealing with budget issues, scheduling issues, you know, getting the actors in. And then you're like, wait, I need to focus on my role. I actually have to go and perform.
Yeah.
So it has definite advantages and disadvantages to it for sure.
So the police station shootout here kind of gives Terminator 1 some stiff competition. What was that raining-led choreography like?
A lot of the choreography came from Joe and the stunt team led by Marco Morales. And I thought the best thing for me to do was just follow the leader so to make sure that I don't get hurt and I don't hurt anyone else. So it wasn't like me trying to figure out where to shoot. Like they told me where I'm supposed to be aiming my gun because we don't want anyone to get hurt on set.
For sure. Was there a particular aspect of this story, you know, as fun as it is, we've talked about the language, but there's like certain story beats. Is there certain aspects that you gravitate towards the most, and that when you step back out into the real world, you feel like the ground has shifted a little bit for you?
Yeah, for me, I think it's interesting that even in the darkest and most villainous of people, sometimes, even if their own personal code is far out with the moral code of society, in some ways they're more pure in the fact that they stick to it, whereas some perhaps more close to the moral fiber of society actually don't stick to their own code and are more all over the place, have no personal bond with themselves. I like that. You can find that light even in the darkest of places, and that even a ruthless killer can see where goodness lies and where courage lies. And you know, it felt like a bit of hope, and I think that I brought that out of this movie too, you know, is to always look, rather than look for the darkness, is try and also notice the light and a little kind of kernel of good and people that perhaps you would judge in another way, you know?
Yeah.
I know we're out of time, but I really hope that there's a sequel after this called Copland, not to confuse it with the 90s Sly Stallone film, but I really hope it happens. So thank you guys so much. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Get me out of here. Always and only about Teddy. Teddy Murretto does nothing! Here they come.
Let's make a deal, man. I got a lot of money.
There's no deal to be made. Come on, Teddy. You know how this goes.
I need to know everything.
All you had to do was let me blow his head off when I had the chance.